I expect my backyard track got started like a lot of them. I used a tree for the infield, put one of my 10-scale cars down and started running laps around it to see how big an oval it liked. And while turning a whole bunch of laps did get rid of the grass, it didn't get rid of all the little bumps, and that was getting to be a problem. My Traxxas cars do a great job of handling all those bumps, but I know there's more speed to be had if we can keep the wheels on the ground longer. If you slow the video down though, some of the cars can look pretty cool going over all those bumps. But we can do better. Being an outdoor track, it does accumulate a lot of yard debris along with those bumps. But a battery pack's worth of hot laps with most of my cars blows all that stuff away. The biggest problem that remains is all those little bumps and hoop-de-doos that I'm hoping my drag board is going to get rid of. Well, I'm confident this is going to work. I know it's going to take some time to get the whole track flattened out. I actually came up with this idea while I was looking for a screw for another project. I was kind of shocked to see that I had closer to 1 million screws than I ever expected. Okay, that's a little hyperbole, but I got way more screws than I need. This is the 2x4 foot piece of 3/4 inch thick plywood I'm going to use, so I need screws that are around 3/4 of an inch to an inch long. I won't make you watch the hour it took me to go through this mess and find the 270 some screws that I was going to need for this project. To start, I laid out a grid on what would be the bottom of the board. Not being a real big thinker, I decided just to use the width of the ruler for the distance between the lines. Want to bet some twit's going to email me telling me that some kind of geometry thing would have made a better grid? I know you thought I was going to have the points of the screws sticking down, but that's not me. I'm a rebel. And as you can see, I'm not overly picky with the depth or even the angle of some of the screws. Like I said earlier, there's like 270 of these screws, so I figured if I'm dragging it around, they kind of average each other out. And here's the completed, almost no-tech track surfacing rig. The chain's just to break up any big lumps that come out the back. I use the hinge for towing it just to help keep the board flat on the ground rather than jerking it up as we tow it. Amazon had a deal on the 1/4 inch steel cable, so I got that and hooked it up to the tractor. The next task will see if I can convince my wife Beth to be my stunt driver so I can run the camera. Beth has learned to be wary of things that I make, so I had to make a few passes around the outside of the track just to show her it wasn't going to blow up or nothing. You can see the streak around the outside of the track, and this is about 5 or 6 laps, and I was kind of impressed with how it looked. And this is where you see why we call this a track servicing drag. It literally gets drug around the track. Being 4 foot long, it helps knock off the tops of some of the bumps and fills the dirt in between them. As you might suspect, this isn't going to be an instant process, and we'll see just how much of this it takes to flatten the track out. Every once in a while the drag would bounce, almost like there was something under it. Turns out there was something under it. The thing was pulling rocks out of the ground. I had no idea there was this many walnut-sized rocks in my track, but there's getting fewer of them all the time. Something else I was happy to see was how well the board tracks behind the tractor. It stays right behind the tractor, so it's easy to treat the part of the track that you actually want to. Alright, an aerial shot of our surfacing drag probably wasn't necessary, but people seem to be impressed with this. Plus it gives us a little different perspective of the process. And we can swoop in for a little closer look at the track after it goes by. We've been at this for a half hour, 45 minutes, so I think this is going to be about enough for today. I wanted to finish up by watering the track down a little bit, but I just couldn't wait. What I wasn't expecting was how much better the track is after this one day. Taking my normal liner on the track, the car is spending a lot less time in the air. Even more surprising was that I need to gear this car different now. Smoothing the track out this little bit is giving me more speed down the straightaways, and it's running out of gear way before it used to. The last thing I do after surfacing the track is just water it down. I'm not trying to soak it or anything or leave water standing. I just want to get everything really good and damp and then let it dry out so it binds the dirt a little more. I'm going to try to do this servicing once a week or every 2 weeks, and we'll see how it goes. I was shocked at how much better the track was after this one treatment, so you never know, we may have something here.